Hello again, everyone. Zacatech is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for tonight, Thursday, March 21st, 2013. Of course, this was still in Chicago. It was live last week. We live every other week. So each city will have 2 episodes taped. Last week was live. This week was taped. Once again, Chicago. The crowd, you can tell they went through the emotions of the first week. You can tell they're mostly quiet for the first half of the taping, but I think by the time they got to the main event, they were really loud and aggressive. But once again, proved why TNA made the right decision on being in the Impact Zone no longer, and happy it's outside of the Impact Zone. When it comes to this episode tonight, it was mixed bag. Coming off last week, they knew they had a lot. They had 2 episodes in the same night, so the schedule was kind of weird. But you get some used to having to do 2 episodes every night and having one live and one tape. But it was okay Impact. We got a couple title matches and number 1 contender named for the TNA World title. Speaking of the TNA World title, we would see throughout the evening videos of the 888s. They call it a movie. The rise of Bully Ray. Of course, how Bully Ray, known as the president of 888s, organized this 9-month scam that he fooled all TNA on the road to being the TNA World Champion. Of course, it all started back in June when Ace and Eights made their first appearance, targeting Sting. We would see how Bully Ray would focus on trying to be the TNA World Champion, trying to win the Bound for Glory series, and how he would basically use Buck Hogan to get close to Hulk Hogan, get close to the company, get higher up in the ranks, to get a title shot, and how Briscoe and Garrett used Kurt Angle's influence to get in the company, and how the VP, D'Lo Brown, got involved because he voted Briscoe. Now everything started to make sense about why everything happened the way it happened. Why Taz screwed the wedding. Why Briscoe and Garrett did what they did. Why D'Lo voted Briscoe in. But we still don't know why Al Snow wasn't there that one week that made D'Lo the judge to vote Briscoe in that gut check. When Briscoe did get the gut check, it was like, right after Thanksgiving. Right on that area. Around November that happened. So, as we would see that throughout the evening, how Billy Ray basically used Hulk Hogan, screwed Book and all that. Of course, that's when we kicked off Impact with Hulk Hogan coming out to declare his thanks and respect to the TNA roster who came out to fight at the end of last week's Impact to a valiant effort in the post-match brawl at the Sting and Aries. But indeed, they would not come out the victor in the brawl. They may have lost the battle, but they may win the war. Hogan congratulated and, of course, commemorated the 4 warriors that really stepped up to lead Team TNA into the battle last week. Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, and Magnus. Now, of course, Jeff Hardy does have the rematch clause to get the automatic rematch against Bully Ray to get the first shot and getting his title back. But Hardy, getting all banged up of his attacks, he said, well, I may be ready, but I know these 3 guys, Angle, Magnus, and Joe, are as ready as I am. So let's have a fatal 4-way tonight. Me, Magnus, Joe, and Angle. Winner gets Bully Ray. Hogan agreed to it. So that's our main event tonight. A fatal 4-way to tie the number 1 contender for the TNA World title. Now, Hogan didn't say where. Whether it's going to be on Impact next week or it's going to be for Slammiversary. Knowing that Slammiversary is 3 months away, hopefully they have better time planning out Slammiversary than they did with Bound for Lockdown. There was no pay-per-views after January's pay-per-view. So they had about 2 or 3 months to plan out the pay-per-view Lockdown, and you know how that turned out. So they got 3 months to plan out Slammiversary. So hopefully they can plan this right and hype it up correctly and have a lot of time to hype it, instead of just 2 weeks for the main event, like they did for Lockdown. So I'm going to find out number 1 contender for the TNA title. We would have 2 other titles on the line this evening. First off, the TNA World Tag Team titles. Chavo and Hernandez, who were going to get the shot last week, but got attacked by Ace and Eights, preventing the match from happening. They got their, I think this is the first one-on-one rematch to take on Wood and Aries. They didn't get a rematch, but it was a triple threat match last week at Lockdown. So I think it's the first one-on-one rematch since losing the titles to Aries and Wood. And the kickoff Impact today, it was okay. Chavo Hernandez looked very good trying to regain the titles. Aries and Wood trying to fight up, trying to get back in the middle of the match. But of course, Chavo Hernandez were about to put the finishing touches on the tag team champions and win the titles back. But as Chavo was ready to nail the Three Amigos, here comes Bad Influence for some whatever reason. They interfere in the match, causing Aries to nail a parody Three Amigos to Chavo and get a roll-up and a 1-2-3 victory for Aries and Rude, and they retain the tag team championships with a little help from Bad Influence, the other team in that triple threat match last week. Bad Influence may have felt that they should have got the one-on-one match for the titles instead of Chavo Hernandez. So who knows? Maybe Bad Influence will get another one-on-one match after their interference tonight during this match. So there you go. By hook or crook, with a little help or not, Aries and Rude retain the TNA World Tag Team Championships. Now on to the next match. Next title match. 2 title matches back to back. It was for the TNA X Division Championship. I thought it was one-on-one. I said it was one-on-one, but it ended up being a triple threat. Must be a new rule of X Division. They just said all X Division matches are now triple threats. Anyway, whatever. Triple threat match for the X Division Championship. Kenny King taking on Zima Ion and returning Sanjay Dutt. It was a spot fest and a botch fest. Sanjay Dutt has been in the ring in a while. You can tell he has ring rust. Doing one of the first moves of the match, he was trying to do a double move. He kind of botched and fell off the top. Well, he kind of botched that move. And he was trying to go off the rope again for a move, and he kind of fell, but regained the conscience, regained composure to the move, and a lot of great spots, like great high-flying spots. Like I said, it was a botch fest and a spot fest. A lot of great high-flying spots between these guys. Great high-flying action, great high-paced action for the X Division. Shining brightly in this match, despite, like I said, being a spot fest. But indeed, the finish was great, with the Sanjay going for the moonsault stump. But of course, King got the Royal Flush, finish him. Nasty finish. And of course, got the pin and the win. With Kenny King retaining the TNA World Championship. So there you go. Now, last week we of course saw Hogan still mad at Sting for making, basically it was Sting being the one that, of course Billy Ray was the one that used Sting, as we would see in those clips tonight, to lure Hulk Hogan to believe that Billy Ray is the guy. And Hulk still not trusting Sting. He's still mad at Sting for disobeying his trust. So Hogan's still angry at Sting. Well, their feud continues. Brooke Hogan, Hulk's daughter, had some business of her own to take care of, involving Taryn Terrell. Now, Taryn Terrell was of course, kind of giving away, the official TNA Knockouts referee. Now, she's been starting a little feud with Gail Kim for the last couple months after Taryn Terrell made some questionable decisions involving matches with Gail Kim. Now, of course, Gail's been mad at Taryn Terrell for not seeing things and being a crook and referee, blah, 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 blah. It all came out at Lockdown with Taryn attacking Gail during her title match between her and Velvet Sky. And Taryn was put on probation by Brooke, but Taryn still slapped the hell out of Gail during a tag match last week. And of course led to the night with Gail and Taryn in the ring. Gail called out Brooke Hogan to make the decision that she has been wanting to hear for months, that Brooke is going to fire Taryn Terrell. Well, Brooke said she did fire Taryn Terrell as referee. But as I kind of thought, Brooke was going to have Taryn fired as a referee, but hired as a wrestler. So now Taryn Terrell has legal contract to beat up on any knockout she wanted. Well, Gail was going to be the first target on her list. So she beat the crap all over Gail, sent her all the way to the back, and Book was confronted after that as Taryn and Gail fought to the back. Here comes, from the back, Bully Ray, still with the wedding band on. So they haven't filed for divorce yet when it comes to the storyline with Book and Bully Ray. So they're still, legally storyline-wise, married. So we'll see if Book and Bully Ray will try to get the divorce settlement. See how that goes along. Now, on with our next match, which was stupid. It was Matt Morgan taking on Joseph Park. Now, this match was made last week during a segment with Joseph Park. I said it before, the guy who's playing Joseph Park, a.k.a. Abyss, is doing a great acting job of pretending he's a shitty wrestler. I'm giving him credit for it, but I just hate the shtick. Give him credit for dealing with the cards he's dealt and playing the role perfectly, but I still miss Abyss. The big monster. You know, I miss Abyss. Is he ever going to come back? Please? I beg of you. Because Joseph Park was another plot, another ploy in the Bully Ray saga to screw over TNA and pull the wool over TNA's eyes and cut their asses. So, Matt Morgan, of course, leading back to this situation, Matt Morgan wants to take out every mistake of Hulk Hogan since Matt's mad at Hulk Hogan for betraying him. And this match started out pretty well. Basically, it was like watching a match in UFC when one guy's just dominating over the person in a beatdown. That's what it was, a beatdown. Matt Morgan just beat that crap out of Joseph Park for the first half of the matchup. But then, Joseph Park tried to hook himself up in some ways, and he tried to fight back in the late going. But indeed, he ate the carbon footprint. And a 1-2-3 victory for Mr. Morgan, with no help from Joey Ryan whatsoever. So, there you go. And I think once again, Chicago got some cool chants, like Phoebe Moore last week. I forgot the chant they did this week. So, there you go with that scenario. So after that match, I'm trying to think if we had another segment, or I think we went straight from there to the main event, which is of course the number one contendership match to determine the next contender for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, as decided by Jeff Hardy, who made it his way. It was, of course, him, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and Magnus. And I thought Ace and H was going to interfere during this match and we would have another brawl to end Impact. Well, surprisingly, excluding the appearance from Bully Ray, having a little confrontation with him and Book, we did not see Ace and Eights tonight. It was an Ace and Eights free night, with the exception of those segments that we saw throughout the evening. So, we would have the main event match to end it all. Before that, we did have another segment before the main event involving AJ Styles. Now, AJ Styles, of course, attacked James Storm last week, turning heel officially, and I know it was like, why, AJ, why? I said why. Dude, AJ's career was going down the tubes last year. It was his worst year yet in his career. Really got nailed down the coffin. The final nail in his coffin from last year's shitty year was losing the match at Turning Point to lose the title opportunity until this year's Bound for Glory, getting pinned by James Storm. So that's why I nailed Storm last week. And AJ was conducting an interview with Mike today. He kind of pulled what Jericho did last year. Remember Jericho came back last year and basically trolled everybody by not speaking for about a couple of weeks? That's what AJ's doing in my mind. He's trolling the TNA fans by not saying a word. And as we're not saying anything, and even Taz offered him a Ace and Eights jacket, I kind of think AJ will be part of Ace and Eights in some way, shape, or form. Because if you've been attention to that video that they were showing AJ when he was like trying to hide from the cameras, talking outside of his town. The guy I was talking to, it looked like the guy I was talking to was wearing an Ace and Eights jacket. Time will tell. Anyway, Storm came out to that and said, the old AJ wouldn't do this. The new AJ Styles with his sick jacket and, this new attitude, he would not be this selfish boy, That's what AJ is now, because AJ's been through a shitty year, and he's like, no one is the nice guy. And AJ was confronted by Storm. Storm's like, hit me, AJ. I want to beat you up. So a feud between AJ and Storm started, but AJ left without making any contact with Storm physically. So like I said, AJ's trolling not just the fans, but Storm by not attacking him tonight. So we'll see this feud develop in the next couple weeks. That'll be a match for Slammiversary with the right amount of build-up, with 3 months to be able to build every match. It's Slammiversary right with this amount of time. Speaking of matches that could take place at Slammiversary, now on to our main event, which was, of course, the Fatal 4-Way. To determine another contender for the TNA World title, Jeff Hardy is suggested to put a match between him, Kurt Angle, Magnus, and Joe. Now, this is when the crowd really got hyped up. I'll give Magnus credit. Magnus is the guy who I don't think he deserves a title shot yet. He's not up in that super. I know it's starting to give Magnus a little bit of a push. I think it's probably Magnus' biggest push as a singles competitor. And, he was in Team TNA last week. He got a big comeback in London. So I think they're trying to push Magnus as the next big guy. But we'll see if they're going to push him off to the side like Morgan and Devon, which led to Devon's match in Ace and Eights. Anyway, Magnus looked very well in this matchup. Magnus and Joe were trying to work together as a tag team, double teaming on Angle and Hardy to begin the match. But of course, every man for himself took effect, and Joe and Magnus won each other's necks. And for most of the later half of the match, Magnus looked very well. He was dominating all over Jeff Hardy in the center of the ring. It was a decent Fatal 4-Way. For being a Fatal 4-Way, it was a decent matchup. And Magnus, he does deserve a title shot eventually, but I don't think this is his time. He needs a couple more big wins. I think Magnus, if he gets the right amount of pushing and gives the right amount of effort to this, I think Magnus could be a decent singles competitor and be a decent guy once he develops a character more, develops his character, develops his storylines, develops his wrestling style. Really can be a decent guy in TNA roster if he gets pushed right by showing the effort. And he had some decent effort. When Storm kept fighting back. Not Storm, but Hardy kept fighting back. Sorry, I said Storm. Anyway, Hardy kept fighting back. And Hardy delivered a storm of twist of fates on everybody. But it was Angle and Joe getting it on as well for the later half of the matchup. And Joe had a great flying spot. He flew in the middle rope and got a great TNA chant. And I like the chant from the fans like, we want Angle, we want Joe. And it was just Magnus and Hardy. But we did get Angle and Joe in the last half of the matchup. As Angle delivered a German suplex on Joe, this is the ending of the matchup here. Angle did have the ankle lock on Joe locked in. And Hardy was already knocked out as he was trying to attempt the twist of fate for the first time. Actually, the swanton for the first time. He got pushed off the rope by Magnus. Angle knocked him out. That's when Joe locked horns and of course led towards Angle putting the ankle lock on Joe. Joe rolled out of it, pushed Angle into Magnus. But with Joe still on the ground, Hardy got back up, nailed the swanton on Joe. 1, 2, 3. Jeff Hardy had to fight to earn the number one contendership when he didn't have to because he had the title shot already in his hands. But he decided to try to give the other guys an opportunity to take the title shot from him. He risked the title shot, but the risk paid off. Jeff Hardy is still going to be the number one contender for Bully Ray to try to get his title back after getting screwed at Lockdown. Who knows like I said, we don't know when the title match is. I'm guessing Slammiversary with this amount of hype surrounding it. If this is the main event for Slammiversary, it'll get the right amount of hype. Although in my mind, even though a one-on-one title match at Slammiversary would be great, how about bringing back King of the Mountain? Damn it! It's been a few years since King of the Mountain. Come on, TNA. Bring King of the Mountain back. I love King of the Mountain. It's a great concept. You know what I mean? If you bring King of the Mountain back, how about 6 sides? No, we won't go there. They won 6 signs back for Destination X last year, so that's good enough for us. But I would love them to bring back Kicking the Mountain. But till then, I'm guessing be what they've done for the last couple years, make the TNA title match a one-on-one affair. It'll be Jeff Hardy against Bully Ray 2. And hopefully, since they have a lot of months to book it, hopefully they use their time more wisely promoting the pay-per-view than they did with Lockdown with 3 months and wasted a whole lot of time to build it up. And you can tell how Lockdown turned out last week. That is it for my Impact review tonight. Of course, it's the last week in Chicago. Be in Jonesboro, Arkansas next week. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. It's not spring yet. It's still winter like it is in Michigan. But see you all later. Yeah.